Hello, Devlin here, and welcome to the Halloween edition of Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. And I am so excited. I'm not doing this creepy voice for the whole thing because it was awful. Anyhow, I am so excited tonight because I love Halloween. I've done a Halloween show before, but tonight I'm doing another one. Because if you keep doing podcasts, you got to. Halloween's a seller. But you know what? I thought about it, and I thought, it's a holiday, and I don't want to do it alone. So I decided to call up one of my favorite monsters and one of my holy nightmares in my life, and I thought, yeah, he'd be perfect for a Halloween show. And okay, I can't be too nasty with him. This guy has become a really important guy in my life. In fact, he is family to me. He's done this show before. I absolutely love the guy. Without further ado, my co-host for the Halloween episode, Damian Trautmann.
Thank you for having me back. Although you can lay the filth on a little bit more next time. I'm not as offended as I should be.
Okay, so, well, I could have said horrible things, but...
You mean that wasn't horrible, what you just said?
What,
you called me a monster.
Well, there you go. But you like that kind of... that's a term of endearment from me.
And you're lucky that I do, because we'd be having fisticuffs if it wasn't.
Well, the night's still young.
Yes, it is.
Welcome back. You did, way back when I started this thing. Now I'm an international celebrity.
Yeah, is that why you wear local celebrity on your t-shirt to Comic-Con?
No, because I have to tell people that I'm a local celebrity. No, I'm still about 17 viewers, so...
17. Keep going, and I'm sure 10 years from now you'll be up to 19.
Well, it's funny, I never wanted big ratings. So it's nice when I see stuff like, I think my first YouTube thing is over 100. Now, some of these little people that do those crazy antics and stupid things, they get thousands and millions. I'm excited that I crossed 100. It's great. Or Mondo Nostalgia, sometimes I get people from Nigeria, and I'm like, what the? I can only get 84 hits on my Facebook, but every once in a while I get these weird things, so... How are you doing since we saw you last?
Well, since you saw me last, I've been doing pretty good, I would say. I'm really excited for Halloween. As soon as October 1st hits, I'm absolutely all over the place. I don't call it October anymore, really. We usually just call it the month of Halloween.
That's a good way, and that's why I knew you were perfect, because we have a lot of Halloween things, and we're leaving this open. We're going to just talk about everything from Halloween. But let's start at the early days of Halloween, because we all started, when we dressed up as little kids and went around the house. Did you have similar traditions like that?
I did.
Sorry, around the neighborhood, not around the house. That's really sad. That's Corda's upbringing, but we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, Corda, her parents, they only did a couple houses, and then their parents bought them stuff because they... And I agree with this. They believe that all year you teach kids not to talk to strangers, not to take things, and then one year, forget it, do it! So they didn't do that, so...
Well, growing up, my mom and I, we usually were apartment dwellers. So there's always those kids that have that, unfortunately. You got to go from apartment to apartment because your mom won't let you go walk the neighborhood by yourself till you get a little bit older. So I would go apartment to apartment. Not everybody answers their apartment door on Halloween. So that was a little awkward, especially considering I'm dressed up as a ghost or a demon walking through the apartment corridors. I'm sure I scared a lot of senior citizens.
You love that secretly.
I do. Well, they're already in the grave anyways.
Oh, Lord. I am not.
But when I got a little bit older, it was obviously every kid loves Halloween. You go to house, you get to dress up weird, and you get to get free candy. I remember one time when I was trick-or-treating, and it still to this day has left permanent ramifications on me.
A horror story to start the night.
I was walking around the neighborhood. This is when I lived in Toronto. And I'll get into this point a little bit further, but this is back when people decorated their houses for Halloween, the entire neighborhood. Halloween, hundreds of kids out on the streets. And I walked up to this house, and there was a scarecrow sitting in a chair. And I watched the kids go up, knock on the door. Nobody answered the door, but the side door was on, and the light was on. And I think there was a bowl there with the candy, help yourself, one of those houses. So I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing, but whatever. So I went with it. The kids left. I went up by myself. And as I walked past the scarecrow, I felt this really strong sense of unease about it, like something was not right here. So I looked at it, and I swear I saw its eyes follow me as I walked past it, but it didn't move. So I was like, okay, whatever, maybe I'm just freaking myself out. I'm a kid on Halloween. So I go up, I get my candy, put it in my bag, and as I walk back towards my mom is looking right at me, just waiting for me. And then suddenly, this scarecrow jumps up and scares the crap out of me. I dropped my bag and ran screaming to my mom. And my mom's laughing. She's killing herself. And like the other parents and kids are all pointing and staring and laughing at me. And here I am, a traumatized like 9-year-old.
We're not even 10 minutes in it, and we found how Damian's anxiety is begun.
Yeah, you can't trust inanimate objects. They will come to life. But I actually used that trick back when I lived in Oakville. We would have the kids come to our door because obviously, you know, I'm really into Halloween. So I would always decorate the house. I would always get my family pumped up. And so we would have the kids come, and I actually did that. I took that idea and used it myself. So the kids would come up. They would see me sitting in the chair. Some of them are little kids, and you just wanted to throttle them because they'd kick at you and be like, oh, that's not real. And so like you would have to sit there and be like, I'm gonna get you, kid, you just wait.
You took a swipe a couple times, didn't you?
Sometimes. Not gonna lie, maybe
I'd be shocked if you didn't.
My favorite though was this little girl, and I felt so bad about it afterwards, but I knew I had to get her. She walked out, looked at me, she was pointing at me, she said, I'm afraid of that. But the parents were just, oh, it's just a decoration, you're fine, just go up to the door. She goes up to the door, knocks on it, and my mom gives her the candy. While she's getting the candy, I silently get up and stand behind her. And she doesn't know I'm there until my mom goes, okay, happy Halloween. Little girl turns around, and I lower myself down to her level, and I said, who? And she screamed, and she went running to her parents, and I was like, I felt so bad about that, but now I understand there's also a little bit of joy in it, too.
Yeah, you wish you taped that, I bet.
I did.
Secretly, we liked scaring.
Absolutely.
Before we move on to that, what was your favorite costume as a kid? Do you have one? Like, do you remember them?
I do, actually. It was really definitely a product of the 90s. Obviously now things are a lot more conservative, family friendly. The one I had that really stood out, it was kind of like the Grim Reaper if you revealed his insides. So
how old were you? You were like 6 or something, weren't you?
I think I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
Maybe 10. But what it was a black robe. You had a ghost face, like kind of similar to the guy from Scream, but it was more skeleton-y rather than a ghost. Okay. And then instead of the robe covering your chest, it would actually just be an exposed rib cage. But there was basically, the best way to describe it was a vein system underneath that ran down your arm through your sleeve.
Okay.
And in your hand you held a heart.
Oh my lord.
And every time you squeezed the heart in your hand, fake blood would run through the bones. And so I remember loving that because school time, you go and you dress up for Halloween for the Halloween parties. You'd go in there, and then suddenly the teacher's doing his letter or his lesson. You squeeze the heart and you start to bleed all over the place. It was just that. I
assume that will be banned from schools this year because everything is.
You definitely don't see things like that anymore.
I'd tell you my favorite costume, but you'd laugh at me, and you probably would be like, what's that?
What are they, thigh-highs and stockings?
No. I dressed as a lot of women, surprisingly enough. No, there was a literary character named Pippi Longstocking.
I know Pippi Longstocking.
Okay.
I used to watch the TV show.
I didn't dress up as creepy things, so I dressed up, and when I think back now, it was a very dangerous costume because my mother made it with, like, wire hangers. So I literally had wire hanger. Check Pippi Longstockings out, although Heather's probably put a nice graphic up right now. The hair just would stick out, and it's like metal. And I'm in school, almost decapitating people or taking eyes out from people, but I liked it, and I'm glad you know who that was.
Yeah, of course. I didn't like the TV show, but I know who she is.
Well, if you know how I know it, you'd hate it even more, because I know it from the Swedish movies that I grew up with. that are just inappropriate. How about a costume when you were a kid that you don't want to admit that you dressed up as? Can you remember those?
Yeah, actually. now that
I told you I was going to hard-hitting interview here.
when I don't remember my age. I might have been 3. I dressed up as a polka dot dinosaur, and my cousin was a clown, and we went out and we trick or treated together. But yeah, that was kind of embarrassing.
But you like dinosaurs.
I do like dinosaurs, but not with polka dots.
No, hi friends. It wasn't Barney, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Because that's
Barney.
frightening now.
It wasn't Barney.
I think if you dressed up as Barney now, lots of people would be scared.
I think I would have a restraining order on me from how he touches children.
Oh my lord! Did you go there?
I did.
We're touching children inappropriately. What was your favorite candy to get?
Definitely. Oh, they're a kind of gum.
Chiclets?
Not chiclets. Not Bazooka Joe. Double
Bubble.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
double
good.
bubbles.
Thank God you didn't say molasses kisses.
What the heck are those?
Those things that are wrapped in the orange thing.
Oh
with the,
no, those are gross.
I know. I would
hated
ask you to leave immediately. No offense to anybody who's like probably enjoying them right now. I think our friend Gabriella enjoys them.
Probably.
So she's probably sitting there unwrapping one as we talk, choking on it because we mentioned. Because I think I had a conversation. I think she liked those.
No, I like Double Bubble because
Yeah.
not only was it good tasting gum for about 5 seconds, but then
All gum is like.
you'd also get a comic in it, and I think his name was Pud.
Wait, isn't that Bazooka Joe?
No, you got the Bazooka comics.
Oh,
had
yeah, Double
Bazooka
Bubble
Joe.
did have
and then
one,
they
yeah.
had a character named
Okay,
Pud.
I'm thinking of something else then, yeah.
And I actually collected all the comics.
Oh, did you really?
Who knows why, but I
Things I
had
didn't
them.
know. What did you hate getting when you went?
What you mentioned, the
What, the
caramel,
molasses kisses?
candies, chips. I hate getting chips.
Why did you hate getting
It's
chips?
just so plain. Like, here's some plain Lay's, kid. Now get off my lawn.
Now, I don't know if you remember it, but a lot of people are handing out, like, pop now, and would that be good? Because I remember somebody came up and said, I'm going to hand out pop this year. And I said, pop? And it's like, yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, you'd get thirsty, and you wish you had a drink or something, so they have a pop. But it's like you're smashing all my candies, you know, like you drop it in, crash, my fucking chips. Damian wouldn't care, but my chips would be all.
Well, when I took my sister out trick-or-treating a few years ago, some people handed out pop and some other things that I've never seen before, like those Kool-Aid jammers.
Yeah.
They would throw those in the bag, and just, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That
I
is
can't
a lot
even
of money.
imagine.
So, like the really cool houses, they would always hand out the full-size chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Like next time I go trick or treating and with my sister, I'm expecting to get like a 12 case of Coca-Cola in my bag. Like I don't think it's a good thing because it's about candy.
Now, did you ever get caramel apples? Every time I watch old Halloween specials, I've never gotten a caramel apple. I don't know if I'd want one, but for nostalgia, again, like I don't know, I'd like that. I'd probably have it bronze because, like, hey,
I have gotten a few. But they weren't caramelized; they were just apples.
Like the red stuff.
Just the red apples, and my mom obviously took.
Wait,
them.
are you just talking about you got apples? Because that's not a caramel apple. That's a fucking piece of fruit.
Just an apple.
Yeah.
My mom would take them because she'd think there'd be razor blades inside.
Well, they might have.
There were never razor blades. Just old ladies thinking that I need to eat healthy on Halloween.
Did you hear in Burlington that some old lady was putting prescription drugs because she didn't know any better? She's just cleaning out her purse and Scotch mints, some old tablets that had fallen off, and they're
what
like,
did you get, Jimmy? I got some Double Bubble. What'd you get, Billy? I got some oxycodone.
Yeah, I used to hate when I had to walk all the way up to the door for fucking box of raisins.
Oh.
Whippy fucking do, I got nature's candy, you know? You should put on the door chocolate bars. I'm going up to that one.
The menu would be nice.
Damian, why aren't you coming? Because there's fucking chips. I'm not wasting my time.
I don't want no plain Lay's chips in my bag.
Okay, it usually was plain.
Yeah, it was. Don't try to lie and say it wasn't.
Now, did you... I'm going to talk to you about this because it's funny. But I lived in an ethnic neighborhood.
What does that mean?
There were ethnics
This
in
is
it.
2016.
Okay, I lived in a very Italian neighborhood. Did you ever... No, what? What? Ethnic?
I expected like you to say, oh, there were some Ethiopians. I had a Colombian
They couldn't give
cartel
out
down the
food.
street.
They can't afford to give me
Wow,
their
this
rice.
is a scary
Yeah,
podcast.
I am worried. But did you ever get like weird candy, like foreign candy, like?
No, not that I can recall.
Okay, yeah, because you're always like, what the hell? And there's a picture of an owl, and it's like got a swirl, and you're like, I don't think I want to try this.
The
Yeah.
weirdest candy I have eaten is Chinese candy, and I didn't like it. It was just so bitter, and it left a horrid taste in my mouth that I couldn't get out for days.
That's lovely. That's great.
I can't describe it. It's like you throw up, and then you eat your own vomit. And that's the taste that was in my mouth.
How much candies were you allowed to eat when you got home, and did your mother check the candies?
We always went through the candy together.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did she take her favorites too, or did you let her have all the fucking chips?
She was good. She was good. She let me keep all the candy. She obviously
Nice.
take the stuff she thought was questionable, like the apples. But I never really had a limit. I could eat as much as I wanted.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I had a limit. Look at the size of me. I'm not trying to blame my parents on that, but they're like, ah, take another one.
Yeah, no, my mom would suggest that maybe I take it easy, and I would say, okay, sure, and then I'd still just be eating way into the night.
Would you have eat it within a week, a month?
I'd be gone in the week. Yeah.
Okay.
It's gone.
Because I hear some people like sometimes we used to go decorating. What am I thinking of? I remember we could go to decorate gingerbread houses at Heather's house, Corda's, and is this Halloween candy still? And I said, well, we got to use it somehow. And I go, really? So you're gluing those rockets on the side of a gingerbread house, which we'd never eat anyhow, the gingerbread house. But that's a Christmas thing, so we won't talk about that.
Let's keep on track here.
Yes. Yeah. And do you miss? When did you stop trick or treating? When did you were you one of those old kids that tried to sneak out? Because you're small in stature.
That's
I'm not saying that. That's no.
offensive.
You know, I don't mean.
I'll
it
have
like
the
that.
ladies out there know that I am 6'2", 175 with 24-inch pythons.
Hey, he's got a couple snakes.
Okay, look, they may be guns up here, but you don't have to be offended because you got a pistol down there. But
You know what I'm saying is this was a sudden growth spurt that you just had. So when you were like 14, I'm guessing you were not as tall and python-less.
No, wow.
But
I think the last time I ever went trick-or-treating was when I was 16, maybe 17.
okay, so you really pushed the limit.
Yeah, I did. And
You could back in those days.
You could. I went out and I put makeup on just to
Yeah.
fool the adults.
Women's makeup? Like you were a woman?
It's just makeup.
Okay. But what was your costume? Just makeup?
I dressed up as a guy named William Francis. He's the lead singer of.
Oh, I thought you just pulled some guy's name out of your hat. Like,
No,
I am
no.
Sir William Francis.
If you Google William
Okay.
Francis from the band Aiden,
Okay.
you'll see what I dressed up as.
All right.
And I hope there's a picture up there of him because
You
it's
name
really
it,
good.
Heather's better be working on it. You check it, and we will make sure it's there.
But that same Halloween, that was my last Halloween that I went out. But I at least tried. My friend didn't, and he said his costume was that he was a nudist on strike. And I just kind of gave him a look and that said, "Really?"
You're ruining it for us. They're
Yeah.
always giving us candy.
Basically, yeah.
Does your mom have a picture of you as the purple dragon with the polka dots?
Yeah,
I would
believe
love
so.
to see that.
I would have to go find it from her though.
Yeah. Do you have pictures of you as a child?
I do.
I would love to see you as a child.
Why?
Because I know you. You're my family. I'd like to see what you look like as a little
You
kid.
don't want to keep them for later use?
That's just wrong and
I
disgusting.
mean, it's Halloween.
Now, since we're unmasked and we're going to take a break soon, I remember when I went to your Facebook page. You actually had a picture, and I
Yeah.
thought to myself, why do I want to be friends? I can't remember who friended who or who sent the
You
invite.
added me. You added me.
But I saw these really grim pictures of you in these creepy masks, and I'm like, do I want to be friends with this guy? I'm like, that picture comes up, I'm going to have nightmares if he emails me or something. But I did. I took the chance, and they were cool. They were cool looking, but they were creepy.
Yeah, so I used to... I used to have a lot of free time on my hands before I started working at Target. So a creative side of me came out, and I basically said I want to make cool designs on these masks. And so I was very heavily inspired by the band Slipknot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they've all got really cool, creepy-looking masks. Again,
Corey's got a picture.
Put the picture up of Slipknot.
If you're listening to this on iTunes, it means nothing. But everybody knows Slipknot. Even I do.
Yeah. So I was very heavily inspired by them. So I would go out and I'd buy those Japanese masks, the plain white ones that have no expression, and I would paint on them and just make them look really cool. And I would also just maybe cut a few of them up and like sew them together, make really neat designs, and then
that's awesome.
It's just something.
I didn't know you made them.
Yeah, I made them myself. I don't do it anymore.
You should.
I don't have as much free time anymore.
I know, but do the odd one here and there.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you kept all your masks?
I have 2 of them still. The rest were lost for unforeseen circumstances, unfortunately. But I do have pictures of them somewhere out there on the internet.
We may steal some and put them up on our thing if you're okay with that.
I would be fine with that.
I know, $50 each or something.
$50 each.
I know you.
Royalties from any.
From the 17 people that watch this?
That's right.
All right, Damian, it's fun talking Halloween. We're going to talk about maybe music, movies, anything else that we can think of Halloween. Are you having a good time?
I am having a great time.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and we will be back. All right, we're back. It's the Halloween episode, Devlin's Pirate Radio Show, sitting here with my co-host, Damian Trautmann, and we are talking things that are Halloween or spooky, scary. Now, you said, I like that you said that when October 1st comes, it's all Halloween month. What kind of music do you listen to around this time? And do you have special Halloween music, or your stuff's pretty hard any other time, but do you have something special?
There are 2 Halloween songs that I absolutely adore.
Monster Mash.
Monster Mash is one of them. But
is it really?
But not the original Monster Mash.
I was just joking. I thought, no, what, that cute one that I always listen to?
No, not that one. Mine's actually a cover by the band The Misfits. I
actually have a video for that.
Their Monster Mash is my favorite Monster Mash version. I think it's amazing, it's fun, it's upbeat, and it's Halloween. Especially from a band like The Misfits. You can't go wrong with them on Halloween.
No, I actually know that one. I'm surprised. I thought you were going to say, like, Danzig or something.
No, I'm not really into Danzig, but... another one that's really... come to me in the recent years, ever since I met my fiance, it's a take on an old children's Halloween song, but it's remixed to be kind of techno. It's called Spooky Scary Skeletons. The original is really, really like slow tempo, kind of spooky, like Spooky Scary Skeletons, whereas the techno one speeds it up as Spooky Scary Skeletons. It's
nice.
And I saw it with a video of just a bunch of skeletons dancing in the background, and I was just hooked. I could listen to that song for 10 hours. It's just so fun and so addictive.
Do you know who sings it, or?
No idea.
Okay.
Just Google it.
So look it up and check it out. And if you like the original Monster Mash, we should give a shout out to Boris Pickett and the Crypt Kickers.
It's a good name for a band.
Well, that's the only hit he had. But it hit number 1 like 3 different times. So it's one of the few songs that ever did. But yeah, I do know the Misfits one. That's a really good one. Not as good, but I do enjoy the Vincent Price one. There's a Vincent Price one out there.
I've not heard Vincent Price do Monster Mash.
I have a little candle holder that's Vincent Price, and a lot of people say, where'd you get that? And I got it at one of our Hamilton Comic Cons, and I love it because Vincent Price is all over everything Halloween. What Thriller I listen to, he's in that. He does the Monster Mash. So many of his old movies, like The Bad and Night on... House on Haunted Hill, I think that's him.
You know
or
what
The
else
Fly.
he was in? He was, this is how I know Vincent Price, is when I was growing up, I was a huge Scooby-Doo fan.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts. He narrated that.
Yeah, so, that's a crazy-ass show, but he doesn't just narrate that, he's in it.
Is he actually? I don't remember.
He's an animated version that has a stupid name, and I can't think of what it is, but I have the whole series. Okay. Yeah, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
That's where I learned it from.
And, of course, as Canadians, I have to mention Hilarious House of Frightenstein, which I always whip out. every
Along with
Halloween
other
season.
things, I'm sure.
Yes. You tell me you know what Hilarious as of Reinstein is. You
I-
gave me a look like
I saw your poster.
my poster.
but
Uh-oh.
That's all I know about
I
it.
would educate you with it, but I know you would absolutely hate it. It would be a
Probably.
horror thing. It would be a torture thing. But it is wonderful. Other people are like, oh, it's such a great show, but I don't know if it translates nowadays. But it was made in Hamilton. That's something cool, isn't it?
For you, maybe. I'm from Toronto.
Vincent Price. Oh,
I'm from Toronto, buddy.
They have way too much.
You know what's good in Toronto? They made the
Is this
second.
Halloween or in?
Yes, it is. They made the second Resident Evil movie, and they filmed that in Toronto.
That's
so
the
Raccoon
only
City,
thing.
Raccoon City is Toronto, and I take pride in
There
being
you
from
go.
Raccoon City.
There you go.
Another thing I really like to watch around Halloween.
Okay.
I know you did a Mondo Nostalgia recently about the Munsters.
Yes.
So, kind of a little bit of an offshoot of the Munsters, something that's always meant a lot to me and has always had a special place is the Addams Family.
Now, are you going from the TV show or the movies?
So, both. And multiple versions of the television show. So, I know there's the one with Christina Ricci.
That's the movies, yeah.
The movies. Those are the
with
movies.
Raul Julia and woman's was I'm picturing her long face. I can't think of it, but it'll come to me.
Yeah. So I love those movies. And then I never got to watch the original Addams Family TV show.
Okay.
I watched the new Addams Family, the one that aired on
that was a Canadian one. I
the
believe,
Canadian
too.
one. Yeah. And I loved that show. Every
Okay.
Saturday afternoon, I would go over to my Nana's house and I would watch the new Addams Family, and it was just great. It was stupid humor. It was funny, but it was dark at the same time. And then me growing up, being one of the darker kind of kids at high school, the emo kids, my time, it just definitely helped with that. And I appreciated the fact that something mainstream could be not mainstream at the same time. Because the Addams Family, they're dark, they're depressing, but they relish in it, and they accept what they are. And if you look at them compared to some modern, like regular, normal families, the Addams Family, despite their hijinks and their idiosyncrasies, they are actually more normal than any mainstream family out there.
Well, they're not actually monsters.
No, they're not. They're just...
Their relatives are, like Cousin It and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But if you actually look at it, they're like the Munsters are monsters.
Yes.
But they're just extreme people. They're just over the top
Yes.
people.
I
Fetish people.
I would say
Mike
that
calls
they're...
them assholes because they're eccentric people that can get away with owning a lion.
I would call them entrepreneurs of the goth lifestyle. They are very goth, and they accept that.
Yeah.
But Morticia and Gomez, they are so in love with each other, and they have a healthy relationship to show their children. Wednesday is always going to be the woman of my dreams, because she is just stone cold killer, and that's just sexy no matter what. And then you got Hugsley, who's just an idiot. But he tries to do good. He loves his sister, and she takes advantage of him. But it's just your typical brother-sister kind of dynamic there. But obviously Wednesday always takes it to the extreme, trying to kill him. But he loves her, and he'll do anything for her. And I just like that.
And what about Uncle Fester?
Uncle Fester, he kind of reminds me of you in a way.
Oh, my lord. And the compliments keep coming. I have to hear this. How does it remind me of you? Because the other day we watched an episode of the original, the 60s show, and I said to myself, they are really a normal family, and Uncle Fester seems like the special needs uncle. And now what happened? Couple days, Mr. Trautmann saying, "You remind me of Uncle Fester,"
well,
so
do.
you better explain that.
Okay, he's hilarious, first and
That's
foremost.
good. I can agree with that.
He's wacky, he's got a good sense of humor, and he's just lovable. You can't help but love the guy.
Okay, well, you made up for it. But I can't put a light bulb in my mouth.
No,
Did they
don't
do
do
that
that.
in the new one?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
They did.
Well, you got to. That's his thing.
Yeah.
I knew you were a big fan. Did you read the comics or the animations?
No, I have not.
No, because that's what they're based from.
Okay, I didn't know that, actually.
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, I don't know where they published them, but they were actually an illustrated cartoon. And I believe you should look into it because I believe the tone is even darker. Because when they brought him to TV, I think they kind of lightened him a bit.
They have to, yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
especially in the 60s.
I'm going to say this once, and I'll never say it again. When I was a kid, Lurch kind of freaked me out a bit. You haven't seen the original show. He just kind of looked creepy. They got a perfect guy, Ted Cassidy played him. But I kind of think he's kind of hot now. I do Lurch. Okay, I said it.
You right.
And that weird hand. See, that's the problem I had with the movie.
That's Thing.
Thing, yes. Okay. In the movies, he's just a cut-off hand running around. He looks like a naked tarantula, which that's why I don't like him. But in the TV show, he would just show up in boxes and do stuff.
Okay.
But it freaked me out when I went to the movie and all I saw was this thing running around with no body, because he always had something, but he could go to any spot in the house and do shit.
Well, yeah, in the new Addams Family.
Was he like that?
He
too?
was like that. He would move around. You'd only ever see the hand. There was actually an episode that just popped into my mind while you were talking. He actually had a love interest in one episode.
Okay.
And it was a female hand, and they eventually rubbed their hands together, and it was, I guess, an allegory for them having sex, but it was...
Do you think Gomez ever called up Thing and
maybe Morticia.
Morticia wasn't feeling go? Well, yeah, Morticia could have too,
Morticia.
on those nights where they just didn't speak French. I would have used it. I won't be bold. That's cool. Were you a Munster fan at all?
I like the Munsters, although I'll be very honest, I've only ever seen 1 or 2 episodes of it.
That's fine.
I know they revolutionized that kind of darker kind of interest in things, and they require a lot of respect. I just honestly don't think I could give my honest opinion on it.
No, that's fine. I'll give you a little tidbit that I did say on my Mondo Nostalgia. A lot of people are always like, well, the Munster TV show was more important, or that ran longer, and the Addams Family. I will tell you something. The Munsters and the Addams Family debuted on the same month and ended on the same time. They only ran 3 years and almost have the exact same. So to say either one is better, they actually ran the same amount of times and got canceled the same amount of times too. It's funny because there was no thing. The only thing is Addams Family was actually first because of the cartoon strip that they had. So and the Munsters actually were created by the people who brought us Leave It to Beaver, which is way before your time.
I know all about Leave It to Beaver, and I don't want to talk about it.
Well, that's good. It's on Halloween. Look for my Mondo Nostalgia coming up of Leave It to Beaver. I like talking about Beaver when it's Jerry Mathers.
In my day, we don't have beavers anymore.
Oh, don't even talk about that. Now we're talking really scary stuff. We both watched The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Okay. You actually got me on The Walking Dead. Like, you told me, you got to watch this show. And I finally gave it a shot and thought, I don't like zombies. Don't get me wrong, I like zombies, but I'd seen so much zombies. I'm like, there's no way this is going to be better or different. And then finally one day I put it on and I said, okay, I'm going to just humor them, watch the one episode, and then I can say, okay, I didn't like it. And I wound up watching the whole several seasons that I caught up on, and I thank you for that because it's a great show.
Yeah.
I try to get people on it now because I'm like, now you were a fan of the comic too.
Yeah.
What do you like more, actually?
I actually prefer the TV show. Because the TV show, despite being based on the comic, has made some changes. I know people out there, they might be groaning. They say, oh, they didn't stay true to the comics. Why do you want to watch something that stays true to something you've already read? You know everything that's going to happen already. And that's why I like the TV show so much more, is because it still makes me gasp. It still throws twists and turns at me. It has actually made me love characters that I absolutely despised in the comic. Shane, I could not stand him in the comic. I was so glad, spoiler alert, when he died.
Yes, I hope you managed to take that off. But almost everybody dies in The Walking Dead, so...
Yes.
No.
But Shane turned out to be my favorite character still
Yes.
to this day.
Yes, and he's
7
my favorite
seasons
character,
in.
yeah.
And the comic has nothing on him. And so I love that I don't know what's going to happen next on the TV show.
Well, that's right. Why would you want to watch something that you basically you've already read? You know, why not throw it up? And not to mention, I think you need to change it up. Sometimes things that work in a comic book don't necessarily work, and
Exactly.
it gives a chance to smooth out what you're doing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, but I think it's a great character show. You know, it's not, and don't get me wrong, their zombie stuff is phenomenal. Like the how they look and
Did you know that
the effects.
the effects are so well done on the zombies that they actually have biologists as kind of references? If you look at the zombies in season 1, as opposed to the zombies from the last season, which was season 6, they deteriorate appropriately, and they look more closely to skeletons. Their skin is sagging off of them. It's more darkish in color. And that's because they actually put in the scientific research to see how long a body will decompose and what it would look like after a certain period of time. So if you look at it, the bodies actually do deteriorate more as the seasons go on. And it's really cool to look at that.
That is. Getting away from pop culture for a while, what are your big Halloween fears? Like, I know you're Mr. Goth guy, but there's got to be something that really freaks you out.
So, things that scare me,
I'm not using this against you, I'll tell you mine, but I have a show, I do that all the time.
it's kind of difficult. Obviously, bugs gross me out, but they don't scare me because I know that they're not going to try to murder me in any kind of way.
I have to tell this story, but while you think of other stuff. When we were at Target, one of the common things was a lot of the young guys would be sitting there, you and Scott and Brian would talk about who would survive in a zombie apocalypse. And I remember one time we were like, you know, you were always like, I'd make it through a zombie apocalypse. And then you guys, you'd look at me and you'd be like, yeah, he'd be gone in the first week. And I'm like, well, maybe. There's a lot of cardio. But from running and stuff. And I remember there was a moment that there was a spider. And I have a fear of spiders, tarantulas, the whole works. And I remember you just fucking jumped up in that chair. And then I think Scott was running, you know, because he even babysit a tarantula. And I'm like, how could you put that on your... And he goes, yeah, it creeps me out too. And then I'm the one who actually got rid of the spider, even though I have a fear. And I'm like, I looked at you and said, yeah, zombie apocalypse, my ass. They have one spider on their shoulder.
Listen, I wasn't running from the spider. I was going to get back up.
Yeah, right. Wah! No, it didn't sound like that. But there was screaming involved.
Yeah, from you.
All right. Now, I got the spider.
Yeah, you were trying to kill it, and you're like, I don't want to do this!
And I don't recall that. That's out of my mind.
Selective
so,
memory.
do you have any other Halloween fears? Or, like, do you like clowns? Because I know clowns...
You know, clowns never really bothered me.
Clowns are awesome because they have become the ultimate fear thing. I've met goths that can't stand clowns now.
Yeah.
So now I have a respect for clowns even more because, honestly, we have what's the word I'm looking for? Homogenized so many of our werewolves, vampires, zombies even. And clowns are still scary. I have no problems with clowns. In fact, this whole thing with all the clowns terrorizing, and now they're thinking of banning stuff. I am so anxious to be wearing my clown outfit at Value Village. Because I'm not necessarily creepy, but I can look creepy. I almost look like... I call myself Dementia the Clown. Because I'm like some old guy who doesn't have a... I told Mike that would be my clown name. He goes, that's so wrong.
That is a little wrong. Especially after seniors do.
I'm thinking of writing a horror movie called Dementia the Clown. About an old senior citizen where he just sits in a chair as a clown and then murders happen. But you don't know if it's him or not.
No, I've never really found the fear in clowns. They've never really scared me.
Well, you love the Joker.
Yeah, the Joker, but...
Heath Ledger's Joker.
Heath Ledger's Joker is my favorite Joker.
Right.
I know that's probably controversial, or people
it's
say...
Not controversial. Everybody says
well,
that.
I'm sure people will be like, oh, he's just jumping on the bandwagon. Things like that. No. It's not that. It's just he's my favorite. And, yeah, he's a clown. The Joker's a clown. But clowns in general just don't scare me. Like, I know people like Heather Curto absolutely deathly afraid of it.
A lot of people are. It's crazy.
But every time, like, yeah, sure, they could be a little unsettling, especially if you're walking alone in the woods and you see a dude in a clown outfit walk towards you with a machete in his hand. Sure, that's unsettling. But every time I look at a clown that's supposed to be scary or creepy, I just think of people like Ronald McDonald, Doink the Clown from the old WWF.
Some people think Ronald's pretty frightening. Have you seen the first Ronald McDonald commercial?
No, I haven't.
There's your homework tonight.
Okay.
He had like a cup on his nose. They had like food.
Well, that's because they couldn't figure out what they were doing back in those days. They didn't have technology.
Now, I've never had a problem with clowns, but I know when I wear my clown outfit at work, I have this one supervisor who hates clowns, and even though she knows me, she goes, I know it's you, but it still creeps me out just looking at you like, whoa, because I make horrible clown. It will be in my montage for sure.
If I had a little less self-control, I would probably be out there with this clown craze, because I like scaring people.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get arrested.
I hate that they're ruining the clown phase. I wish they picked something else, because it would have been fun if they were like, angels or something.
That'd be scarier if you ask me.
Like, pick something. Don't go with something that already scares the shit out of people. Pick something like, we're all going to dress up like angels. That would be crazy. Like, angels are coming down doing all this horrible stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, if we start seeing angels fucking doing shit, we could be in trouble.
Look,
well, me, because I just said it.
We started the craze right here.
It would be, like, just biblical, the Pope and just all these religious outfits would be great.
I don't know what I'd do if I ran into the Pope in the middle of the woods. I think that would be an interesting experience.
Clowns creep me out a little bit, but I don't mind them. I have a respect for them because I know a couple of my friends went to clown school. And they said, I have been to every dramatic class you can think of, but clown school is apparently the hardest school to go through because they're so disciplined.
Really?
Yes, and they take it very serious, what you're given, your name.
I think I remember that from The Simpsons, Krusty the Clown going to clown school.
Yeah, they said they take it serious, and if you don't take it serious, they just... And I think that should be a reality show. I'd love to see clowns just being... Yeah, because they claim, like, if you're in character and you break character, that's apparently like a no-no. Because if you're like Daisy the Clown, you're Daisy the Clown. You did... And you know what? I get it, because I remember one time I played Santa for a bunch of kids. And, that's I've talked about it on the show. Look for my Christmas episode. But I remember a couple times talking to people in the Santa costume as me. And somebody came up and said, shouldn't be talking like yourself in case one of the kids hears you. Like, it's not like I was telling, dirty jokes or something. Two Jews walking a bar. Santa loves a good Jew joke. No, I'm just kidding.
Lord.
Did I say that? That's wrong. Anyhow, we haven't hit movies yet, and I know you like a lot of horror movies, so we're going to talk about some of your favorites, because I'm interested to see ones you like, though I know some of them. We'll be back.
We're talking about clowns.
We're talking about clowns. Anyhow, we'll be back for the Halloween episode here on Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. Great.
Welcome back. You've tuned in to Damian's Pirate Radio Show. I'm here joined by the corpse of Devlin, who I've since murdered to take over the TV show. Wait, we're not on TV.
No, we're not.
Oh, well, there goes the ruse.
Though you did think we were going to record this. That's
yes.
Because I asked you to bring your mask.
Yes.
Because it's going to be on the YouTube. And I missed a great opportunity of having you sit in your mask all through this and then tell you, oh, by the way, this is the radio show.
Yes.
But, yeah, it was funny. I missed it, but oh well. I am not dead.
Unfortunately.
Thank you for that. But we're going to talk horror movies or Halloween movies. It don't have to be horror because they're scary movies without being horror. What are some of your favorites? I know your all-time favorites could be qualified as horror movies.
So
Titanic is I'm talking about.
Yeah,
no.
It's very scary about how you can manipulate somebody to fall in love with you in a 24-hour period.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'll
Also
let you
scary
talk.
when that same person doesn't allow you on a raft that you can easily fit on.
I believe that. But no, I'm just kidding. I know you like Titanic. I'm not putting you down for that.
So my favorite horror movie of all time is Alien. No, the first one.
Oh, you like Alien?
Aliens is more action-adventure.
Yes, I agree. Alien is a horror movie. Yes.
Alien is an absolutely terrifying horror experience. And I was actually kind of scared watching that growing up as a kid because I would never watch it when my mom wasn't home. I tried to a few times, but I got so unsettled and so unnerved that I just turned it off and watch Aliens instead.
It is. There are two very different movies, but still two great movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alien, one of the only times I've ever screamed in a movie theater. Alien.
Let me guess, it's when they were in the vent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, embarrassing thing is I've actually seen the movie before. I screamed in the theater.
It gets me every time. I know it's coming, but it still gets me every time.
Because I saw it on video, and then, well, I'm going back a bit, but it was video. And then I got a chance to see it at a little theater called the Broadway. And me and this group of girls screamed all at the same time. And, it was probably Dave with me, so he probably laughed.
Yeah, no, it's a scary movie. It's so claustrophobic, and it's one of those movies...
It's filmed that way, right?
Yes,
you know that.
it's supposed to
I've
be
read
filmed that way.
essays on it that they filmed the corridors like that.
Yes, it's that way for a reason, because you as the viewer are supposed to be one of the passengers. And so that's why it's filmed that way. You never really feel like you can get out. You're trapped in there with the alien. And that's what makes it so scary, is because when it comes down to just Ripley, you are with her. And you're wanting to get out, and you're wanting to get away, but the lights and the sounds, it's so overwhelming, and how did she get through this? It's terrifying. And I think she just literally just pushed on as well as she could. And she was probably terrified the entire time.
Now, I know you read therapies, I almost said, movie theories on stuff. Here's another theory that people say is why Alien is one of the scariest movies of all time. Men's fear of childbirth.
Yes, I've read that theory
Yes,
before.
them ripping through the chest is what men think pregnancy is like.
So, yeah, basically, and the whole Alien series, I'm sure you and several other people, if they're familiar with it, is all based on an allegory that it's all about rape. And so the facehugger...
I've never heard that, but it is.
It is. An unwanted force attaches itself to you and impregnates you, which is the basic definition of rape. And so that thing then breaks free and ties into the theory that it's a man's fear of pregnancy. Women are always, men can't handle it. If they did, they wouldn't know what to do. And then obviously everybody in Alien who gets impregnated with the xenomorph ends up dying because it bursts through the rib cage. So yeah, I'm very familiar with it.
Have you watched it this year so far yet?
Not yet. I usually save it for closer to Halloween. Another movie, obviously, I really like, I think a lot of people like, is Nightmare Before Christmas. It's kind of a mix. It's a Halloween movie.
Some people call it Halloween, some people call it Christmas. I think it's both,
it's
kind
both.
of. Yeah.
It is both.
Because you can technically watch it both. You can watch it on Valentine's Day, technically. It has some romance in there.
I really like that. It's not very scary. I've recently seen Corpse Bride. That was really cool. Coraline, very creepy. That movie was creepy.
Yeah, that's a creepy movie.
But I actually watched a couple of days ago for the very first time, and it's a horror movie that actually managed to scare me, which is something that not a lot of horror movies can boast about, and it was The Conjuring. Have you ever seen The Conjuring?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking
movie.
about. It actually literally made me suspend my disbelief. Yeah,
Isn't that the clap? Yeah.
But it was so terrifying. And I felt for the family. And like, I watch Halloween, I watch Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, classic slashers. I've seen The Exorcism of Emily Rose, things like that. Ghost movies, they all follow roughly a same pattern. Like, family moves into new house starts to act strange, things escalate, demons come out, and then family gets everything exorcised and gets out. That's basically the premise of The Conjuring. But just the way that they did it was so believable and so well done that it literally had me yelling in fright.
Well, you know it's based on a true story.
It is based on a true story, and that's another thing that I truly enjoy. Because I've noticed there's two things in Hollywood. There's based on a true story, and then there's inspired by true events.
Yes.
Inspired by true events usually has more creative freedom. They could say, oh, there was a guy, he said he saw a ghost. The end.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly.
Sort of true, but not true.
Exactly. And then you have based on true events. And I actually, after I watched The Conjuring, I did look up the Warrens.
Yeah.
The Warrens, and I read about them, and I was like, okay, well, these people actually literally did these things. Not everybody believes them, obviously. But people like me that believes in ghosts, believes in supernatural elements, I can believe it. And that's another thing that added to it for me.
Have you ever seen a ghost, or do you think you felt a ghost?
I have. When I was a kid, my mom used to work up at a golf course called, I think it was Emerald Hills. Don't quote me on it, I'm not sure if that's what it's called. But she would be the food and beverage manager up there. And so she would always talk to me about how when she's closing down at night, she would hear things, see things like lights moving under doorways, and she'd be the only one there besides the security, who usually just sat up at the front desk. And so obviously hearing these things as a kid, you're impressionable, you're skeptic. And so when I got brought to work with my mom one day, I went looking for this ghost. And she would always tell me that most of the time it would be up on the second floor reception where they would have weddings and whatnot. So I go up there. And as soon as I stepped up there, I felt like this heavy weight pressing down against me. Like I was feeling something's not right here. But in my head, I'm a kid. I didn't really think much about it. I thought maybe I was just freaking myself out. And being a little shit disturber that I was, I start trying to taunt this ghost so that it like manifests itself in front of me and like says, "Don't do that," or something. And so I start calling it out. And I say, "You're not real, blah, you can't scare me, blah, 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 blah." And I looked all around and I couldn't find anything. I was like, see, I knew it wasn't real. And I was talking out loud the entire time. And so as I walked down the stairs, leaving the reception, some reason I felt like I had to look behind me. And as I paused on the stairs, I looked up, and there's this really heavy door that does not move. It's always held open. It had like a foot stopper or whatever you call those things in it to keep it in place. And that's because if it closes, you need these very heavy keys to open it again. It's kind of like a fire door.
Okay.
So it's always open. So I stopped on the stairs and I looked back, and isn't the door closing? I didn't touch the door. I didn't open it to go up there in the first place. I didn't pull it behind me when I was leaving. It's moving on its own. So I'm freaked out. And as I go to move down the stairs, I kid you not, I felt somebody's hands push me down the stairs. And I fell all the way down those stairs.
Wow.
And when I got up, obviously, now I'm freaked out because I pissed this ghost off and I want my mom. So I went running and screaming for my mom, and all the patrons of the golf course are like, "What's wrong with this kid?" And I will never forget that. So I believe that is my one and only experience with a ghost.
Well, I don't have anything as elaborate as that, but I know that when I was doing a show called The Devlin Show at the Staircase, there was always rumors that the staircase was haunted, or at least there was a death. I don't know what the story was. I thought one time I heard somebody hung themselves, or got hung, or hanged, or whatever it is. And I remember that a few times in one certain place at the staircase, I actually felt like a ghostly presence, but not evil. Just like something shining on me, or like just like a warmth or something, but it didn't feel like evil in any way. So I remember talking to a couple people about this and said, "Have you ever felt something at the staircase?" And a couple people looked at me and said, "Yeah, I've definitely felt it." And then another person said, "Yeah, I felt it too." Now, we didn't say where it was. And I said, "Okay, before you say where it is, I wonder if it's all in the same spot, because I've always felt it in the same spot." And then we slowly looked at each other, and then I just said that there's an office in the basement, and there's a kind of like a little part that's the basement, and then going up to the stage. And in that little room, that's where I have felt it. And I looked at their faces, and I could tell it was that area that they felt it too. And so, yeah, I do believe, but I think it's like very friendly. Like, I don't feel any negative feeling. It just looks like somebody watching over you, and it's kind of a nice feeling. It's, it's when people talk about people that have died in your life, and they say, oh, I can sometimes feel them. And you don't know if that's just, what's the word I'm looking for? Not good intentions. You just hope that's them. You just, I can't think of the word. Anyhow, this is what it feels like. Like if I had somebody in my life that's what I would like to feel, because it's a real nice kind of blessing type thing. So as we talked about aliens, do you believe in aliens? Do you believe we have aliens out there?
I believe that the universe is so massive, and we have explored so little of it, and we still have such a little understanding about it, that our little planet Earth cannot be scientifically the only planet out there that can sustain life.
It's ridiculous to think that.
And with all the theories, obviously, that I've read online and I've seen, and I'm putting my fingers in quotations here, proof.
Thank you. It helps for the radio show.
I am skeptical of some of those examples. However, there are others that I do believe. Usually I'm a kind of guy that likes to see things to believe them, but I like to also keep an open mind. So I know somewhere out there in the universe, there most likely is life. Because I'm also a believer that our universe, again, is not the only universe out there. And I consider myself very, very much an amateur astronomer and things like that. So I'm very interested in space. And so I study a lot about it. And I was basically told in very layman's terms, the amount of the universe that we have explored is the same amount that if you are on a street and you put a quarter down, if you take that quarter as a representation of all that we have explored, the rest of the Earth is the universe. So that is how much is out there. And obviously that's mind-boggling to think about.
Yeah, no, it is.
And you're telling me that one little planet is the only planet that can sustain life? I don't think so.
No, I totally agree with you. It's a good assessment of it. It's arrogant for us to think that we're the only ones.
Well, obviously we're humans, so we're self-entitled to think we're the masters of the universe.
We are, but that doesn't mean that there's other people there. So you've never been anal probed or by aliens. They only go for trailer park people.
That's
anyhow.
Right. People with no education. No, I've never seen an alien myself. I've never been abducted. But
no illegal aliens.
Well, I've seen illegal aliens, and that's offensive.
I'm sorry. That was you. That wasn't me.
Not? That was him. Don't.
Used to do that.
To my Spanish fans, I apologize for this man's behavior. Are you big in
Spanish? Big in Spain? Spanish.
I have fans all across the world. Thank you very much.
Well, good. We need the ratings, so that's why I brought you on. Any other favorite movies? Do you like old movies, or are you one of those black and white? Can you watch black and white movies?
When it comes to horror movies, no. Because I can't get over the cheesy graphics as much as I try. The cheesy acting, like the by the women that faint upon the sight of this.
Pains me.
Well, good. It's Halloween. You're supposed to feel pain.
No, it's great. I respect you. I just love cult movies so much, and then I know you need to have to believe in stuff, and I just wish my love of cult movies was there for you, but I understand. But that's good. That's how we acted. The world was black and white at a certain time before you.
Yeah, I know.
Before me, too.
Because we had Hitler, who was the black, and then we had America, who was the white.
And that's not offensive.
No, because it's facts.
Andale, let's get back to that. So, do you have any favorite horror movie that's black and white at all?
Is Schindler's List considered a horror movie?
Yes. Okay. For many, I think it would
American History X, the first part.
Yeah, there's some of that is in black and white. Okay, so you mentioned a couple. Okay. Oh my God. Is there a horror movie that other people love that you can't stand? And if you say The Wizard of Oz, I'm kicking your ass right now because I know you don't like The Wizard of Oz. Only person in the world, Wizard of Oz, right here.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's a good horror movie, though. It's got witches in it.
Wow. I'm frightening.
All right, you answered.
Shaking frighteningly.
Yeah, can you think of a horror movie that people rave about and you're just like, overrated?
I don't know if you'd probably be able to answer this question more than me. The Hills Have Eyes.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? Okay.
I want to see the original first.
Because, yeah, I know there was the original in the 70s
the
and then the remake. And I know the 70s one is kind of like considered a cult film.
Yeah, it was, I believe it's early Wes Craven before he
Yes.
did Nightmare on Elm Street,
Right.
which really made him
And
huge.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, Freddy Krueger is my favorite kind of slasher icon.
Yeah.
But The Hills Have Eyes, I can't stand the movie. I think it's a piece of garbage.
Is that rednecky? Is it like...
Basically, the premise is...
Yeah, don't give spoilers. But,
no, I'll give the premise.
Yeah, premise is good.
The United States government doing the nuclear testing out in the Mojave Desert during the 50s caused the families out there to mutate.
Ooh,
Yeah, basically.
Mongoloids. Is that offensive? Ooh.
So it caused them to mutate, and then a family goes on a vacation through the desert, and they get attacked by the mutated family out there. So that's the premise of The Hills Have Eyes. But I just felt, because I've only ever seen the remake, and I felt it was so tasteless and so trashy, I just can't stand it. Whenever somebody's like, oh, The Hills Have Eyes, it's a great movie, it doesn't matter to me what one they're talking about, I just think it's garbage.
You actually would like something I just bought. I just picked up the whole Nightmare on Elm Street collection on Blu-ray for
that's beautiful.
$25.
I didn't like the remake.
I actually didn't mind the remake.
I didn't like it.
I didn't love it as much as some remakes that they've made. Because as much as people put down remakes, I know there's a couple of good remakes, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm starting to watch Nightmare on Elm Street now. Like, I've seen the first one a couple times. Because it's one I've seen later in life, I'm not the biggest fan. In fact, I see how cheesy that movie is, but I like the premise of it.
I do too.
And I like that Wes Craven, I get what Wes Craven doesn't like a lot of the sequels because he really wanted that to be a scary movie, and as the sequels go, Freddy gets actually funny.
Yeah, they get cheesier and cheesier.
And he kind of, like, people root for Freddy, and he's kind of reminds people that he's like a child molester, child killer. And people are like, Freddy! Freddy! And it's like, that's disturbing.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be voting against him.
Exactly.
But I've seen the first three now, and I'm still watching the rest. But I actually like the third one so far better than the original, which is Dream Warriors, because I thought really creative, and I like the idea of the kids. And Wes Craven was part of that one a little bit. I don't know if you remember that one. That's the one where a whole bunch of people in a mental hospital
I remember.
get together and try to take him on, which I thought was quite fun. But I knew you'd like that because you like when I upgrade to Blu-ray.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like horror remakes. Do you have seen any that you have liked?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I can't watch the original.
I love the original, and I love the new one, too.
I like the remake so much.
Yeah.
It is so good. Let's see.
You got to remember, did you like the beginning, too?
Is that the
second one?
It's the second one, but it's the prequel, right?
The prequel is not the remake, and then the thing. Because I love the original. I love it and didn't think I'd like it, but I actually do like the remake of that.
Yeah, no, I've seen that one too, and it's good. Another one I like is Rob Zombie's version of Halloween.
Oh, no, we can't talk about that. No. Okay, sorry.
Sorry, folks, I gotta go. I'm being kicked out.
No,
apparently.
he's not getting kicked out, but that I've always said, because Halloween is my favorite horror movie.
Okay.
And I've always said that there's one thing I like about the Rob Zombie movie, but I usually say, we're disagreeing on this one, I think they should teach that in movies on how not to remake a classic.
So you don't like it?
I fucking hate it. I own it. And one day I'll watch it again. The only thing I liked is I liked when Michael's in the hospital and he makes masks. Because I thought, first of all, I hate that they try to explain why he's evil. Like, they go back and say, oh, I used to kill puppies and stuff. I like in the first one where we just, it's a kid, holy fuck. And it's got that shock value in that. And we don't ever explain. I hate when we have to explain why people are evil, you know? And then I just hate so much about it. I hate the lead actress, the Jamie Lee Curtis character that they remake in this. It just comes out like swearing, like I don't even care for this girl in the first 5 minutes. It's like, fucking that bitch, fucking, and I'm like, I have no interest in caring about this. Like, come on, Michael, kill her.
Jamie Lee Curtis is hard to top, I will admit.
And how about the fact that Michael escapes because a guard tries to rape another inmate? That's disgusting. They don't need that. There is no need for that. That's exploitation.
They didn't need that.
But I'll respect that. I know some people like it, and your generation kind of likes that. Did you like the second one? Because I refused to watch the second one.
Haven't seen the second one.
Because the Halloween 2 isn't a bad remake in the original series. It's when they get later that starts getting a little weird and stuff. I liked, and I know people fight me on this, but Friday the 13th, the original, I enjoy the cheese factor, but I find it so badly written.
It is. I don't like it.
But I like the remake because they literally, the first 10 minutes, they get rid of the first movie, the second movie, and get to the iconic Jason mask. And I actually I'm saddened they didn't do a sequel to it, because I think the Friday the 13th remake is better than any of the ones I've seen.
No, Friday the 13th is definitely second in my enjoyment. It would go...
for remakes, are you going?
No, I'm talking about slasher
overall.
icons. So Nightmare on Elm Street, definitely the first. Then it was Friday the 13th. Then it would be Halloween.
Not Chucky in there?
Chucky actually terrorized me as a child, and I have not seen any of his movies. Although as an adult, I would love to revisit them.
Yeah, the first one I actually really liked. I thought it was kind of neat.
Well, he's in Child's Play, is he not?
Child's Play,
And then it turns into his own Chucky
and again, the
movies.
first one is kind of played more serious, but I kind of like that all this killing's happening, and they just think it might be the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can understand. I didn't... See, I'm lucky... I say I'm lucky now, and people think... But I literally didn't get to see horror movies until I was 18 and over. If I got to see them, I would see the edited television version. Like with Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they used to be on late at night, and I'd be by myself when I was a kid, and I remember always flicking back. And then when it got scary, I'd flick back, because I couldn't deal with it, because honestly, I still have a hard time watching horror movies at night. I will if I'm with a group, but if I'm by myself, I always do it in the afternoon, because by night, I'll have forgotten it, and then I will... Seriously, it sounds lame, but I have that big imagination. Like, even a shark movie, even if I'm not in water, I will have nightmares of sharks.
I mean, when you got them flying around in tornadoes...
Well, yeah, no, I didn't get...
You never know when they're going to show up.
I didn't get frightened by that. I laughed.
I did kind of the same thing, except when I was a kid, I never really watched a lot of horror movies because I'd always be too afraid to. But at the same time, I played a lot of horror video games.
Yeah.
So like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, things like that. But when I would play them, I would turn all the lights on in my house because it would make me feel better because I could see everything.
Yeah.
As soon as one light would go off, I couldn't do it because I'd be too afraid. It's like the bathroom light way off in the other part of the house. It had to be on. Every light in the house. It just made me feel better about it.
Now, besides black and white old movies, is there horror movies that you can't watch? Are there certain movies that you don't do?
Besides, like I mentioned, besides The Hills Have Eyes, pretty much anything that would have to do with just over-the-top kind of violence towards women in a sexual manner. Like, obviously that's horrific, and some people throw it in their horror movies. But if it's gratuitous, and there's an overabundant amount of it, I find it tasteless, I find it trashy, and just a load of garbage. There's no need to do that. It's a movie, right? And you could have people that have been victims of that watching it. Obviously, murder victims ain't going to be watching your slasher movies.
Yeah.
And you know what it is as a slasher movie. But if you go into watching a horror movie, it's not going to be called like Rape Apocalypse 2 or like Sexual Gratification 3. You know Friday the 13th is a guy who wears a hockey mask that kills people. So if murder bothers you, you know not to watch it. But there's no really warning against sexual violence in titles, or if you look around on the back, obviously it doesn't reveal that. So you can get caught up in it accidentally without even wanting to. Those kind of horror movies I I can't stand.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised because of how wussy I am that I can actually handle a lot of gore, which I never thought I could, or frights like that. And I watched some of these movies. I remember Saw. People are shocked that I love Saw so
I do
much.
too. That's actually one of my favorite horror movies.
And I watched Saw at probably the worst time of my life, which I shouldn't have watched it because I watched it literally like a couple of days after my dad died, and that's horror movies are fun when you watch them like in a lighter vein or you want to be scared, but when you're just dark, it's probably not a good thing to watch a horror movie. You should put on a musical or something. And I liked it still. I thought it was amazing because I put myself in that position, like, oh, what would I do? Would I be able to do that?
Yeah.
And I find them really fascinating. But the movies I can't watch, and there's only a couple horror movies that I refuse, although I've talked about The Human Centipede before, and I'm only going to watch it if we do that thing we said. Because I think here I mentioned that I had another friend of mine say that they've never watched it, and they would, but they wouldn't do it. So we were thinking of doing it with our reaction because it's so disgusting.
Yeah, no.
And because I'd swear you'll probably see me either throwing up or just going, "Oh my god," you know. But home invasion movies, I'm not a big fan of because, and I will watch them. Clockwork Orange is one of my favorite movies, and the first half of that is very hard to watch, but that's not what the whole movie's about. That's why I'm okay with it. You watch that, and then you can get over it, and then you watch what the movie's actually about. But when I see movies that, like, are literally, like, Mike told me about a movie he was watching that, like, which is weird, because Mike's not the biggest horror fan. He likes the old style, like Friday the 13th and stuff. He doesn't like the gore, but it was like a home invasion where the lead actors were actually talking to the screen, like, to the audience. Like, this is what we're going to do to these people. It was, like, accents and stuff. I want to say he said Ryan Gosling might have been in one of these, but these movies freak me out because it's your personal home. It freaks me out to think that one day Mike and I could be here and then somebody could break in and just fucking torment us. Like, that creeps me out. There was a movie called The Strangers.
That's what I was thinking.
And I have never watched it. That one guy's mask freaks me out. And I'm tempted because I'm like, a lot of times I watch horror movies that I used to hate when I was a kid. And I'll watch them just because it's like, I gotta face my fear. And usually it's like, oh god, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know if I ever told you about a movie called Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
No.
In the late 70s, there was a movie about this, well, I thought it was about a killer ventriloquist. And the movies had these ad campaigns with the dummy talking. And I can't even tell you what it said. It was just like, it's like abracadabra, and it was like a creepy voice, right? And it always ended with, we're going to kill people and stuff. Now, I was a little kid, like 10 years old or something, and these would come on TV, and it would creep me out. Now, my brother and I shared a room when we were younger, and he used to like sleeping with the radio on. Now, I didn't because, for stupid reasons. One, I always listened to music. And I'd be like, oh, what's this song? And just as I was about to fall asleep, I'd like, oh, what is this? And I hated that. Even though it was top 40 radio, so it was probably the same 40 songs over and over. But anyhow, when this movie played, I knew the dummy was going to talk. So I'd always be like, fall asleep before the next set of ads. I know it's coming. And then if I didn't fall asleep, I'd be like every commercial. And then all of a sudden the dummy would show up, right? I finally watched this movie. Okay, and this movie creeped me out to no end. Not scary at all. Okay, I saw it just like 2 years ago. Not scary at all. But I read on Wikipedia that apparently when those radio ads came out, they freaked out other kids, and parents called and said, pull those ads. So it was a national phenomenon that these commercials were, and they were way scarier. And now I'm looking for the DVD because apparently they actually have the ads on it. I want to relive it. And one quick more on Magic, this dummy movie, is this. I told my friend, I only told a couple people, now I'm telling everybody in the world. And I told this guy that I used to work with at my old job, Reese, if he's out there. And I told him about this. And one day, his dad owned the company, and it was just him and me in the factory. and I worked in the back, and he was in the office, and I told him about this thing around Halloween, and he literally picked up the MP3 on YouTube, and he put it over the announcement thing, and I said, "You fucking bastard," but I laughed because it was so funny. But now I saw the movie. It's so not even a horror movie. It's a thriller. But Anthony Hopkins was pretty hot back then, so...
He's in a lot of good horror movies. Silence of the Lambs is one of the best.
Awesome, yeah. I was going to say Elephant Man. That's kind of a drama, but based on a true story. You wouldn't like it. It's black and white. But it is a true story about a guy who had elephantitis of the nuts. No, not of the nuts. Sorry, I'm mixing Breakfast Club up now. He had elephantitis. You're not familiar with the Elephant Man?
I know all about the Elephant Man.
There you go. It's a great movie, but it's black and white. But you might like it still, because it's
like
black and white,
Hopkins.
but it's later. Yeah, and it's a great film. That used to creep me out, too, when I was a kid. Then I cry now when I see it, because when I was a little kid, all I saw was the guy with the bag on his head, and that freaked me out. And then I watched the movie and realized it was a beautiful, like, when you see this movie, it's so touching. I cry because it's just so, like, about wanting to be loved, and you're just deformed, and all people see is that. And if you love Anthony Hopkins, you need to see this movie. Okay. It's a great movie.
I will definitely
put it on our
list.
It's black and white. We'll try to find a colorizer. Anyhow, any last-minute Halloween stuff you want to do? You like the Charlie Brown Halloween?
I do like the Charlie Brown Halloween.
That's one of their better ones. It's creepy, though.
It is creepy, yeah, definitely, but...
Do you know why I think it's creepy?
Why?
Because don't you find it's a little weird that in the Christmas episode, it's Linus that says the religious stuff that gets everybody, oh yeah, that's what Christmas is all about. Now, even if you're not religious, you're moved that, oh, Linus reminds us it's about all mankind, the birth of Jesus. Then he's sitting in a pumpkin patch, waiting for the great pumpkin, which is almost like Satan worshipping or something.
Well, maybe he's a Wiccan. Maybe he had a reform before Christmas came around.
I know, but isn't that weird? And then we won't even get into the Easter Beagle. But yeah, you used to watch that when you were a kid?
Yeah, I always like the Charlie Brown holiday specials.
Some of them
Halloween,
really
Christmas. But for me, mostly Halloween, the month itself, just gives me free reign to indulge in everything scary, from movies to video games to just music. And I like the fact that people can express themselves without being scrutinized when it comes to like their costumes and everything. So that's why it makes me happy whenever Halloween comes around.
I wish Halloween could be put a little bit all through the year. I wish people... I just did a segment on my last episode that talks about how it's called Costumes versus Cosplay, and how it's almost become two different things, and it shouldn't. Like, I would love to see people wearing bits of costumes in their regular wear. You know, whether it's a hat or wings. Wouldn't it be great to just, you know, in March, see a girl or a guy wearing wings?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would just love that. Or makeup, or anything like that. I would love that, and I think Halloween should be. And I think today we've mentioned a whole bunch of great stuff, from music to movies. So it is Halloween week. You should go and Google it or go buy it, check it out. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always something out there for everybody.
Thank you for coming on my show. I hope you had a good time.
I had a fantastic time.
Absolutely. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
And we will talk to you very, very soon.